Hi, everyone. I'm Joan Raymond, and this is A Heart for Writing. And today I have a special guest, and we're going to learn how reporting the news for a radio station led to a 40-year plus career as a news anchor. Today, my guest is Stefani Booroojian. She's a news anchor and reporter. She currently anchors KSEE 24 News at 5, 6, 6:30, and 11 p.m. She brings award-winning experience with 4 Emmys, a number of Associated Press awards, and distinguished alumni honors from Fresno City College and Fresno State. Stephanie's enjoyed more than 40 years at KSEE, but she's most proud of the past 26 when she covered breast cancer-related stories for her Buddy Check 24 program, and most recently stories relating to her Armenian heritage. While broadcasting is a large part of Stephanie's life, her greatest joy is spending time with her husband and 2 kids in a wonderful place called Central California. And I am going to bring on Stefani right now. Hi, Stefani.
Hi, Joan.
This is a treat for me because Stefani and I have been friends for very close to 50 years.
We're not that old.
No, we're not that old. We met, we were only 5.
Yeah.
But we met at Hamilton Junior High, and at the time, you did a lot of plays. I remember you were always on stage.
Yeah.
I was backstage. I didn't want to be up front, but I did makeup and costumes, and you did a lot of plays.
I did. I liked doing that, which is really I do consider myself to be a shy person. So, but I don't know. I've performance and doing things in front of people has not bothered me. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I did enjoy that type of performance in
Yeah.
junior high and in high school too.
And in high school, I remember you doing quite a few. And then
Yeah.
we joined Thespians, which is the drama club, and went all the way to New
Yeah.
York in
Yes. And
1975.
that was such an incredible experience. I don't think I appreciated how monumental that was when we think about the shows that the original cast for so many just wonderful Broadway shows. But I still have a lot of great memories about that trip. It was phenomenal.
I do too. And I remember coming back to Fresno, and it's like, this is the most boring city in the world.
Yes. And yeah, my love affair with New York started then. So I've gone back many times. I
Several
love it there.
times. Doesn't one of your children live back there?
Actually, yeah, our daughter does. So
Yeah.
I
So
still get
good
to go.
excuse.
Yeah.
So Stephanie and I, we do have a long past together. I promised I wouldn't show pictures, but we actually even worked at one summer at a packing house. So those images are forever sealed away.
Yeah, you got to make money whatever way you can.
Well, it
So
was a
we did
great
it.
during the summer thing, packing fruit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So like I mentioned in high school, you did a lot of plays and whatnot, and well, I always thought you were going to be the next Broadway star. So
Oh.
but you ended up going to college and got a degree in radio and television broadcasting. What made you change directions?
Um, you know, Actually, when I started college, I never really thought of theater as being, I don't think I was good enough to even consider making that a career. So it was just a fun thing to do. But when I got to college, I honestly didn't have a clue what to major in. And there was a period where I was majoring in ornamental horticulture and I landscaping. I've always enjoyed like gardening and stuff. Even as a kid, when my mom would make us pull weeds in the yard, I always really kind of enjoyed that. So, but ornamental horticulture as a major involved taking a lot of science classes, and I definitely did not have an aptitude for science. So I ran into actually a mutual friend of ours at Fresno State one day, Candy Egan, if you
Okay,
remember
yeah,
Candy, or Candace as she goes
mhm.
by now. And I was telling her, I'm taking these science classes and I don't like them and I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should just leave school for a little while and kind of regroup. And she said, why don't you should take a broadcasting class. That's what I'm majoring in and I'm really enjoying it. So I did. I took a broadcasting class. I really enjoyed it and ended up changing my major. I didn't go into it thinking I would be working on the air. I enjoyed even the production part of it, but I did actually it did actually work out for me in terms of eventually working in television. But that's how I got into broadcasting at Fresno State, and it ended up being a wise change for me.
Yeah, 40 years later,
Yeah.
you're still doing it. So
Yes.
your first actual broadcasting career was reporting news on
Okay.
KKDJ FM, the
Yes.
local
Yes.
radio the rock and roll
Right.
station. So, that's interesting. So that you weren't in front of the camera, but you
Yeah, and
were
it
on
was
air, right?
right. I was on air, and obviously news on a rock and roll station isn't a real priority. So that was probably for the best. But there was a news director who gave me a shot and hired me there. And he was a good teacher, and he took it seriously.
Mhm.
And and I think it was good actually to get my foot in the door in broadcasting that way. Didn't have to worry about the appearance part of it.
Right.
And it was a nice way to ease into the to that line of work, and I was there for about a year, I think.
So then in
Maybe.
1982, you were hired by KSEE 24,
Yes,
which
yes,
is the
as
NBC affiliate
NBC.
in Fresno. Yes.
Right, right. And
And
I started basically as a paid intern type
uh-huh.
position, making minimum wage, writing, doing a little bit of reporting, but I you had to join a union to actually you had to join the union to be on the air. So I wasn't in the union. So I would go out and maybe do interviews and things, but I it was mainly supporting the reporters and the producers by writing things, and it was great because I learned some things in school, but until you're actually on the job,
Talking to
it,
real
you
people, yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's where you really start learning. So
And you wrote the
it was
daily
good.
weather forecast.
I did, yes, because at that time, Casey did not have. I think their weatherman had left, taken another job, so they didn't have anyone to write the weather. So I wrote that,
Mhm.
and I had no knowledge of really how to forecast, but I did. They kind of showed me a few tools to use, and we had a big like magnetic relief type map, and I would put the highs and lows every day on there for various cities around the country, and and then the anchors would read the forecast that I wrote.
Right.
So I don't know
Um,
how accurate it was.
well, with the weather, you have a 50-50 chance, a lot
True.
of
Yeah,
times.
there's
I
not a
mean,
ton of weather. And then eventually they did the station did hire a meteorologist or
yes.
a weather forecaster to come in. I don't think I didn't write the weather for that long. They finally hired somebody, thankfully.
Yeah, and you said you were trained to be a general assignment reporter, and so there's a
Yes.
lot of writing involved in reporting. I mean, I know this is a heart for writing, and we're talking about different kinds of writers, but reporting is a completely different kind of writing.
Yes, because when you're writing for and there are different types of writing in journalism, but when you're writing for television, you have to write the way you speak. So I think that's one of the most challenging lessons for people first starting in my industry is that you have a tendency to want to write formal and maybe embellish things, and it's really about keeping it simple because people are listening, they may be half watching, and you have to try to keep it simple and to the point so that it's understandable and accurate, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's a different type of writing. I took writing courses in school, but again, I learned a lot on the job and from the reporters that I worked with who were I had some that were very helpful and helped me
Mhm.
learn.
Yeah, because you have to get to the lead. You have to get to the story. You can't, you know, just
Yeah.
do the whole
N-
description, introduction type thing like a novel writer does. I mean,
Right.
people want the
Right.
story. They want to know what's going on. Yeah.
Yes, and you want to grab their attention, and so yeah, it's a definite style. It's a
Mhm.
definite style. I can write news copy. Writing a novel to me is yeah. It's speaking a foreign language.
I did do, I worked for a newspaper for a while and I did, uh, interest stories. Like I interviewed people like somebody going into the military or, you know, like an older woman's birthday or something, or the family that had
Yeah,
quadruplets. And yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely a different kind of
But even
writing.
newspaper is different than
Yes.
television too.
Yeah. Yeah. They all have their own specific things that you need
Yes,
to do.
yes.
You said you were promoted to producer. So what is
Mhm.
producer? What does that entail?
Each of our shows has a producer that the producer basically formats the show. They make the rundown, they're deciding the order the stories are running in, uh, the way the stories are going to be presented, whether it's just a voiceover or is it going to have sound. They determine the shots, the camera shots. So basically, they're putting the whole show together. They do a lot of the writing, but reporters also write their own stories. So, but it's really formatting and just putting it all together in a nice package, timing it all out. They're really an important part of each newscast that we do. So it's an important job. But that was, yeah, after my first year as like a reporter trainee, I was promoted to a producer in the producer role. I think someone left and they gave me that opportunity. So that was great too. I did a lot of writing and again, just learning about the business and just how to format a show and so everything that I've done, I think, has really helped. And I even still, I feel like I'm still learning stuff, but it was a good role for me again behind the scenes where I still had input in what was going on the air.
Mhm.
So yeah,
And
I did yeah
go ahead. No.
yeah, and I did that. I'm trying to think maybe another year I did that or a year and a half or so.
Okay. And when you back in 82, 83, there weren't a lot of women anchors. So,
Uh, it was pretty at that time. It was pretty accepted that there were anchor teams, a man and woman
right.
um, presented the news. That was pretty standard,
Mhm.
and we had uh, women who were reporters. Yeah, but it was still, I think the anchor man was still the main dude, the main guy, and women were. I think they were finding their way. But yeah, there were challenges. Definitely there were challenges for me as a woman throughout my career early on. But then, I was pretty young too, so
Mhm.
I had to prove myself.
Who did you look up to when you watch the news and what woman anchor or whoever?
I well, so I after I after I worked as a producer, we got our station had a new news director come in, and he was the one who talked to me about working on the air. I wasn't even thinking that. I was producing. I was happy with that. I was excited that I was doing anything in the business. So, but he wanted to give me a shot on the air. So I was working a day shift. We used to do these little cut-ins during the Today Show 5 minute local little news segments, and that was my first on-air thing. He gave me a shot doing that, and I
Wow.
think I produced and co-anchored the noon newscast with Bob Long. Anyone
Mhm.
who is a long time Fresno, way back would remember Bob Long because he was an institution, a legend. And so I did the noon show with him and I did those morning cut-ins. So I would watch the Today Show every day. And Jane Pauley was the woman who was on the air then with, I guess, Bryant Gumbel. And so I always really admired her. I loved the way she presented herself. Um, so I always looked up to her. And there was a time years later where I had the opportunity to go back to New York and interview her and meet her. And
Oh,
that was a
wow.
really exciting moment. Yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool. So,
Yeah.
let's see. So you tell us about a typical day. So you right now, you do a lot of the evening, the 5, the
Yeah.
6, the 6:30 and 11. So when do you get to work and what happens from when you get to work to when you go on the air?
I get to work at 2:30. The day usually starts, or it does start with like an editorial meeting where we talk with the producers and the sometimes the news director is on there or our executive producer, and they talk about what stories we have and what the rundowns are looking like, and we all can give input if we think we shouldn't be leading with such and such, I think we should lead with this. And so there's usually a discussion about the rundown and what's in there. And so that always starts off the day. We, my co-anchor and I trade off doing these, we call them topicals. They're little promos that run in the afternoon leading up to the news. So we write those. And we start looking at the newscasts as the stories are put in, and then we edit those. Sometimes there's typos that have to be corrected, or maybe they're not written in the way that is comfortable for me to read. So that's a lot of the rewriting, is just to make it more conversational or in the way I would say it, and
Mhm.
I would feel comfortable. So it's different for everyone, and that so we that's what we do. I do that for 5. I do that for 6 o'clock. And then we're on the air from 6 till 7. So usually during the 6 o'clock news, we're looking ahead to our 6:30 show and trying to, if there's any revisions or anything that we have to make, we'll do that. But so that's pretty much the afternoon, is just getting ready for those early evening shows, taping promos, and sometimes we're working on stories. I have something that I'm working on right now, the interviews that I did last week, and I'm working on putting that story together. So I'll work on that. It's not going to run for a little while, so I'll just kind of work on that periodically and get that done. But so the afternoon is pretty busy, and then in the evening, we take a break, and then we have probably more hands-on with our 11 o'clock show, because a lot of the support staff is gone then, but our producer is there, and we'll go over the rundown for the 11 o'clock show and then help write that and go on the air, then
And
come home.
and things can change. I mean, there can be a breaking
Yes,
story between the 6 and 11 that
always.
completely, yeah.
Yeah, sadly, it's a lot of crime stuff.
Uh-huh.
Obviously there's a lot of fire coverage now, but yeah, it could be anything that happens. So there's always things that happen during the show, stuff gets added in, things get dropped. There's just a whole host of little challenging landmines that can pop up. So it's kind of makes it fun
Yeah.
and
Well, I mean,
exciting.
it's live,
Yes.
so you gotta be on your feet. And do you have the voice in your ear saying, "No, we need to do this instead,"
Yeah,
or
we wear an earpiece, yes, so the producer or the director can talk to us, and yeah, they'll tell us usually if something's changing. I Last
Uh-huh,
night there was something that got dropped. I could see it because we use iPads now,
uh-huh.
but nobody had said anything. It's like, okay, they dropped something, but Sometimes they forget to tell us. That's not
And
good.
and now are you looking into a teleprompter when you read, or are you looking?
The teleprompter is on top of the camera
Oh,
lens,
okay.
so we look directly into the camera, and that's where the teleprompter is, and it works like a two-way mirror type thing. What we're seeing is the mirrored image technically of our script, and but the camera is seeing through the window
Right.
part. So that's how we're able to look at the camera. That's where the teleprompter is, and the script just kind of scrolls. That we do have someone in our control room that operates the teleprompter and rolls
Yeah,
along with us, reads
that's
along.
good. Yeah, so they're
Yeah.
not going too fast and you're speeding up or
Sometimes they do. Yeah, sometimes they do, but that we follow along also on the desk.
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, because to me that would be kind of, I mean, I know you're used to it. You've
Yes.
been doing this for so long, so it's
Yeah.
probably like not a big deal.
You
Um,
get used to it.
yeah. Now, you said that you did consider yourself a storyteller. So when you do stories, because I want to bring in definitely the Buddy Check 24 and then your trips to Armenia. But so let's talk about Armenia first, because that definitely involves some storytelling, correct?
It does, and I've been there several times. The opportunity actually came up for me probably about 8, 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I can't remember the exact year. I should know this, but I don't specifically. Um, w- the um, the country of Armenia that has a tourism council, and they were looking to get spread the word about tourist destinations in Armenia to increase tourism and let people know, come. We want people to come, we want people to visit. We're all set up and ready for you. So one of my friends told me that they had an was pretty well connected, and said that they're looking to invite journalists to go to Armenia and visit some of these tourist destinations. And I was fortunate enough to be selected to go with some other journalists from around the country, primarily print journalists. But we took a photographer. I took one of my coworkers went with me, and we visited some amazing tourist destinations in Armenia. And I did stories. I came
Mhm.
back with 10 stories after being there for about a week, and so had great video of these beautiful monasteries and just gorgeous, just amazing things, historic, old landmarks and such. And it just was really amazing to be in this country. Yeah, I am full blooded Armenian, and to go to a country where 99.5% of the population is Armenian. It's not
Wow.
diverse, it's all Armenian. It's a landlocked country. They're not a couple of their neighbors are not friendly neighbors, so borders are closed. So it's a very kind of isolated area, but it's beautiful. And there's a lot of poverty. So it was very eye opening and sad, but there's amazing things to see too. And, obviously tourism helps support that country. So I was very excited to come home, and the stories that I brought home, sometimes it's strange, and maybe you feel this in your writing, but the stories almost wrote themselves. I All I had to do was think about the first line that I wanted to say in each story. I wrote that line, and then the words just flowed, and it was amazing. So and every experience that I've had there has been like that. So I love to go, and I am actually scheduled to go next month. Another time, the last couple times I've gone with a local medical mission. So there's local doctors who go and provide free medical care to in a lot of the rural areas, because it's so poor, and
Right.
people don't have money to go to a doctor. That's always an amazing experience to see. And they're going again this year, and I'm supposed to be going. So I'm looking forward to that. But I was there for the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide, and that was a phenomenal experience. I've just seen a lot of amazing things, and I've seen a lot of changes in the country too. So
I
some good
bet.
things that
Yeah.
have happened, and but it's still a country in need. So it's been very gratifying, and I feel very much more connected with my culture at being there. So it's been amazing.
What a wonderful opportunity. I know
Mhm.
the other thing you're very, very proud of is Buddy Check 24. Can you talk about that? Because this is near and dear to my heart because my mother passed away from breast cancer in
Yes,
1978. So,
yes, I know. It just started as an assignment for me from my news director. The Buddy Check concept was started by a reporter in Jacksonville, and many stations around the country went ahead and started their own programs. So my news director at that time was familiar with the Buddy Check uh, model, I guess. And so he said, we're going to do this here in Fresno, and you're going to introduce it to the public. So that's how it started for me. And for one, for like 2 weeks, I guess it was, on every single newscast, I did a story about Buddy Check, and I had to go and start interviewing people about uh, breast cancer or treating breast cancer, and introducing this program where women remind their buddy, family members, friends to do a breast self-exam. And it's been just an amazing program. We've done it for so long. The original Buddy Check in Jacksonville is still going strong.
wow.
I don't know how many other stations around the country still do it, but I'm proud that we do, because there have been local women who did a self exam and found cancer. And so I know it has saved lives and it's impacted lives. And I'm really proud that I'm still involved in it. And though I've just met some amazing women, and I've had the opportunity to tell their stories, and those are stories that I produce myself. And again, just like really the same thing. Some of these stories, they
Mhm.
just tell themselves because of the beautiful messages that I've had the privilege to share.
What an honor. And so
It
is it
is
on
an
the
honor.
24th of the month? Is that how you do it?
That's Buddy Check Day. Yeah, we
Yeah.
ask people to remind their buddy on that day. And yeah, I just did an interview with two women last week. That's the story I'm working on right now. One of them is someone I interviewed in, I think she said I interviewed her. I do remember interviewing her in 2001. She had been diagnosed with breast cancer. She's a survivor,
Wow.
and her next door neighbor, who's a young woman, just found her own cancer. So the two of them did an interview with me, and it's hard when you see young women that are finding these cancers, because a lot of times it's so aggressive. But what I've come to learn is that self-exam again saves lives. She was too young to go have a mammogram, so she did her
Wow.
self-exam and found cancer. So that's great.
That's great. Yeah, because it
Yeah,
was caught much
she could.
earlier. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
definitely. Um, so the news is kind of tough. You got a lot of stuff going on. You're busy, but you do have some hobbies. And I wanted to bring that up. Stephanie is an amazing seamstress. I have a
Well,
well, okay, I just take it as it is. And I have this picture here. So if you can see the picture of her taking a picture of herself,
yeah.
she made that dress.
Yeah,
And then she made another one like it, and she wears them on the air.
I
So
do.
there's a picture of her
Yeah.
on the air. Well, who's
Yeah,
the
with my
who's
co-anchor,
what was
Alex on,
okay.
and it almost looks like we're coordinated. I hadn't noticed that. He almost looks like he has a green shirt on, but I
Yep.
don't know. Yeah, I have sewn, um, my mother used to sew my clothes, like,
Mhm.
a lot of us, that's what our
Yeah.
moms
Oh,
did.
yeah, my mom did
So,
too, yeah.
I knew my mom taught me how to sew, and so I knew how to do that. but it was kind of a hobby that kind of came and went through the years, but definitely in COVID, that's when I took out my sewing machine, like so
Yep.
many people, and decided to just go ahead and do that. And there was one period of time where I actually got exposed to COVID, and early on, we had to isolate, for 10 days or whatever the protocol was at that time. I didn't end up getting sick, but I had to stay home from work for this long stretch, and I just sewed like a fiend. So at one point, I walked into my news director's office, and I said to her, I'm going to tell you something that I bet no other anchor that you've ever worked with has ever said to you. And I said, I made my dress, and I was wearing something that day that I had made, and she was like stunned. So I don't make all of my work clothes, but I have made quite a few things. And yeah, hopefully they don't look homemade, but
I don't think so. They look
it's,
amazing.
thank you.
And
So
another
it's been
thing,
fun.
you like to do, and I borrowed these off of your Instagram page. Um, and let me take my logo off here. You love to decorate. I mean,
Yeah,
you have this amazing knack for decorating.
oh, thank you. I do find it fun, but there's only so much stuff you can buy for your house, so I've tried to stop doing that. But so yeah, I do enjoy doing that, and sometimes I'll say, "Okay, I've had this thing in my house for 10 years. It's okay. I can change it out." So I do enjoy getting things and arranging them in a certain way. And I love decorating for fall. So that's just my favorite season.
Mhm.
And that the one tablescape was on my dining room table, and I I really that's probably the holiday I enjoy the most. I mean, Christmas, I do that too. Obviously,
Right.
most people do that too, but I love fall decorating. I love the colors, and I'm sure I'll be bringing a lot of that stuff out just because it makes me happy.
Me
So,
too. That's my favorite
yeah,
time, the day after Labor Day, because I have a seasonal tree. So I have a tree that it's up
for
all year.
fall.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
wow.
all year. So it's Valentine's, and then it goes to spring, and then it's patriotic. But right after Labor Day, it goes to fall, and my whole house turns into fall until
Yes.
the day
And
after Thanksgiving.
I start lighting those candles. I don't care what the temperature is outside.
But doesn't it make it
I'm
feel better? I mean, it's supposed to be
Yes.
107 today that we're filming or
I
recording
know,
this.
I know. I've thought about lighting the candles already, but I haven't done it because I don't wanna overdo it. But,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I love everything about fall. So those are I yeah, those I'm glad you used those pictures or that one because that really is one of my favorites.
And in the description, Stephanie says she doesn't post on Instagram a whole lot, but
I don't
I'm gonna have the link in there so you can go back. You can see the outfit she's made. You can see all the amazing decorating that she's done. Um, and as creatives, I write, but I do lots of other stuff, and as a creative too. I mean, we do other things, and
Right.
it keeps us going. For me, if I'm writing and I can't think of the next scene or the next plot point, I'll do something else and it'll come to me because it's still being creative.
Right. That's how I feel. I like to be busy. I so maybe I'm out in the yard. But I'm working on the yard. Yeah, or it's painting something
Mhm.
or sewing. I like to go back and forth and do a lot of different things like that. Those things make me happy.
Yeah, and it's a good thing, bringing us
Yeah.
joy because keeps
Yes.
that creativity
Yes.
flowing. So one
Yes.
last question, anyone thinking about going into broadcast journalism or, uh, uh, any type of journalism, what advice do you have for them?
Well, I think that kind of going back to the theme of what you do and what I believe is so important is you really do need to be a writer first. And I think a lot of people get into the business not putting that first. And and my industry is changing so much because of social media, and it's just a lot different than what it was. But I think you do need to be a writer. That you need to you just need to know how to do that and understand that that's the main role that we serve is to inform the public and tell stories and so that should be first and foremost. But um, I would never discourage anyone from going into the business. I think you have to. It's competitive. It's not easy. The hours are ridiculous sometimes. I work with young people. I've never had to work weekends, but there are some young people that they work every weekend, till 11:30 at night. There's a lot of nights. You're working holidays. The news happens every single day. So there's definitely challenges in the industry, and I think people need to know that and understand that going in. But it also is extremely gratifying and exciting. And I just think that, again, it's the storytelling that really is the important part of what we do. Storytelling with words and pictures. Because that's really, I didn't even speak about that. That's an important part in television too. The pictures and the words combining and the sound and making a compelling story.
Mhm.
So it's really like a team effort to get all that
And it's definitely a team
together.
effort. I know for me writing, I'm one person writing, but then I definitely have a team that helps me,
Yes,
beta read and whatnot. But for you, everything you do is a team effort. I mean, you're not there by
right.
yourself.
That's right. That's right. And so, we couldn't do our shows without the producers and the reporters and
Or the camera
definitely
people
or the
or the
cameras. Yeah. Yeah. It wouldn't be television without the
Right.
pictures too. So then
Well,
it all combines.
yeah. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I've learned a lot. I hope everyone watching has learned a lot. And thank you, Stephanie, for taking the time today.
My pleasure. It was fun.
So I appreciate everyone watching. Don't forget to subscribe. So, because I've got a lot more amazing people that I'm going to be interviewing every week. Take care.